Eviction notice. That's how it all started. After 5 years of Sarah supposedly handling our rental property while I was grinding it out of state, I come home to that tape to the front door. You know, the kind that's got that official, "Don't fuck with me" orange hue. I'm thinking, okay, maybe she forgot a payment, but deep down, a knot tightened in my gut. It was a feeling I'd ignored for too long, a feeling my buddies kept telling me about, but I, being the hopeless romantic idiot, waved it off. This wasn't just a missed payment. This was the prelude to a goddamn opera of betrayal. Sarah, I met her at a bar, classic story, right? She was striking. The kind of woman that made you feel like you'd won something just by talking to her. I was so caught up in that feeling, I didn't notice the designer handbag, the constant need for compliments. The way she bet her eyes at other dudes while I was buying her drinks. The boys tried to warn me, said she was a high-maintenance honey trap, but I was blinded by the potential. The what could be. Idiot. Mark and Dave, those guys saw right through her. She's after your wallet, man, Mark would say. Look at the shoes. Those cost more than your rent. Dave, ever the pragmatist, just shook his head. She's orbiting, dude. Waiting for an upgrade. I scoffed, called them cynical. No? I owe them a beer. A lot of beers. But back then, I was Mr. Savior. Ready to rescue this damsel from. Well, I never really figured out what she needed rescuing from. Except maybe boredom. So, naturally, I doubled down. Offered to pay for her passion project, a boutique that sold, I shit you not, ethically sourced cat toys. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass at a job I hate. Passing up a promotion that would have meant less travel, more money, because she needed my support. You ever notice how support always seems to flow in one direction? That's when I should have walked, should have cut my losses. But no, I'm thinking, this is love, right? This is what you do for family. But here's where things started getting off. I was on a business trip late one night and decided to call Sarah. Just to say goodnight, you know? Her phone rings and rings and rings. Finally, she answers, breathless. Oh, hey babe. I was just, at yoga. Yoga. At 11 p.m. Okay. Then I hear male laughter in the background. She quickly says, gotta go. Love you. And hangs up. Gut punch. I chalked it up to paranoia. What was I supposed to do? Accuse her based on a hunch. A few weeks later, I grabbed her phone to look up a recipe. Yeah, I know, snooping. But I couldn't shake that feeling. A message pops up. Had a great time last night. Winking face. It was from some dude named Chad. I confronted her. It's just a friend from yoga, she said, all innocent eyes. We were just grabbing coffee. Chad? Coffee? Right. But I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. I was already too invested, financially and emotionally. So, I swallowed the red pill unknowingly. Then came the wedding. She wanted a destination wedding in Tuscany. Tuscany. I'm a software engineer from Ohio, not a goddamn Medici. But she insisted. It's our special day, she'd cry. Conveniently forgetting whose bank account was footing the bill. I maxed out credit cards, borrowed from my parents, all for a party that was more about her Instagram feed than our future. You know how it is, gotta keep the princess happy, even if it bankrupts the kingdom. You know that feeling when you're watching a train wreck in slow motion? That's what my marriage felt like. I was working longer hours, trying to pay off the wedding debt, while Sarah was networking, which, in her case, meant posting selfies from exotic locations and racking up likes. I started writing her letters, long, heartfelt letters about how much I missed her, about my hopes for our future. I poured my soul into those damn things. Never got a reply, though. Figured she was just busy. Then the kids came along. Two beautiful kids, Emily and Josh. I thought, okay, now we're a family. Now things will change. And they did. Sarah started spending even more time on social media, documenting every goddamn milestone for her followers. I was still traveling, still writing those letters, still trying to make things work. But I could feel her slipping away. The yoga excuses became more frequent. The girls' nights stretched later and later. I was a goddamn fool. Then came the call from Josh's teacher. He was acting out, getting into fights. I think he misses you, Mr. Peterson, she said. And, frankly, Sarah's been saying some concerning things about your absences. Concerning? What the hell did that mean? Apparently, she was painting me as some absentee dad, more interested in my career than my kids, while I was out there breaking my back to provide for them. The irony was thicker than her makeup. Then, boom, divorce papers, delivered to my hotel room on yet another business trip. Irreconcilable differences, my ass. The real kicker? She was claiming I had abandoned her and the kids. Abandoned them. The letters, the sacrifices, the goddamn cat toy boutique, all erased. She was playing the victim, and the court ate it up. I was suddenly the villain in her carefully constructed narrative. You ever feel like you're living in the Twilight Zone? That was my life. The court battle was a nightmare. She used my travel schedule against me, twisted every word I said, and played the single mother card for all it was worth. And the judge? He ate it up. It's clear, Mr. Peterson prioritizes his career over his family. He declared, completely ignoring the fact that her frivolous spending was the reason I was traveling in the first place. I lost custody. I lost half my savings, and I lost my goddamn mind for a while there. Legalized robbery, that's what it was. Years went by. Years of awkward visits, of Sarah bad-mouthing me to the kids, of trying to maintain some kind of relationship while battling her constant manipulation. Emily, she was always a daddy's girl. She saw through some of it. Josh, though, he was harder to reach. He'd parrot Sarah's talking points, call me deadbeat. That shit hurt, man. You try to be a good dad, and your own son thinks you abandoned him? That's a special kind of hell. But then, something shifted. Josh was about 16, and he started asking questions. Real questions. Mom says you didn't want us, he said one day, but is that true? He'd seen the eviction notice on the rental property too. I could see the doubt in his eyes, the gears turning in his head. He was starting to question the narrative he'd been fed for years. A glimmer of hope. After all that time, maybe the truth would finally come out. Then, a week later, Josh calls me, his voice shaking. Dad, I found something. He'd been cleaning out the attic and stumbled across a box. A box full of letters. My letters. Unopened. Addressed to Sarah, but never delivered. 5 years' worth of letters. Detailing my love for her and the kids, my struggles, my hopes. He read a few aloud, his voice cracking. Dad, she hid them. She hid everything. The truth finally unearthed. Hearing Josh read those letters, it was like a punch to the gut. 5 years. 5 years of my life, my emotions, my attempts to connect with my family, all deliberately intercepted and buried. The full weight of Sarah's betrayal crashed down on me. She hadn't just lied to me. She'd systematically poisoned my relationship with my own children. I felt a rage I hadn't felt before, a cold, simmering fury, but also a strange sense of vindication. I confronted her. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just asked, why, Sarah? Why would you do this? Her response? A shrug. I did what I had to do to protect my children. Protect them? By lying? By turning them against their own father? The mental gymnastics were astounding. No remorse, no apology. Just flimsy excuses and a complete lack of self-awareness. That's when I knew, truly knew, she was beyond redemption. But here's where things got weird. It wasn't just about Sarah anymore. I started thinking about all the red flags I'd ignored, all the advice I'd dismissed, all the times I'd put her needs ahead of my own. I started seeing patterns. Not just in my relationship with Sarah, but in the way women, in general, seemed to operate. It was like the scales had fallen from my eyes. I started researching, and that's when I stumbled down the rabbit hole. The more I learned, the angrier I got. All those innocent girl talks, strategy sessions, the constant need for validation, an insatiable hunger for attention, the way she always had to be right, textbook narcissism. I started to see that Sarah hadn't just reacted to circumstances. She'd orchestrated the entire damn narrative from the beginning, playing the victim to perfection. She was a master manipulator, and I was her prize-winning puppet. Oh, I forgot to mention her social media obsession. It wasn't just a hobby, it was her lifeblood. Every vacation, every outfit, every goddamn meal had to be documented and curated for her followers. She craved the attention, the validation. Looking back, I see that her online persona was more real to her than our actual relationship. She was living in a fantasy world, and I was just a prop in her carefully staged production. Anyway, I started seeing things differently. I realized how much I had internalized the pressure to be the provider, regardless of her contribution. I saw how often I'd been gaslit, how my concerns were dismissed as toxic masculinity or fragile ego, and I started to understand the power dynamics at play. The subtle ways women can manipulate men without them even realizing it. It was a harsh lesson, but a necessary one. Anyway, so where am I now? Rebuilt my career, got my finances back on track. And I'm actually enjoying being single. I still see my kids, and my relationship with Josh is better than ever. He understands the truth now, and that's all that matters. As for women, I'm not bitter, just cautious. I've learned to recognize the red flags, the subtle cues that I used to ignore. Let's just say, I'm not volunteering to be anyone's savior anytime soon. So, yeah, that's my story. Or at least, a heavily abridged version of it. I'm not saying all women are like Sarah, but I am saying be aware. Be vigilant. Listen to your gut, and for God's sake, listen to your buddies when they tell you something's off, because sometimes the people closest to you can see the train wreck coming long before you do. And don't ever, ever stop writing those letters. These days, I see modern dating for what it is, a marketplace. Everyone's looking for an upgrade, a better option. Commitment? That's a liability. And women, well, they've been conditioned to believe they deserve the world, regardless of what they bring to the table. It's a harsh reality, but it's better to be aware of the game than to be played by it. And Sarah? Well, karma's a bitch. Her cat toy boutique went bankrupt. Chad dumped her for a younger model, and she's now working as a cashier at a gas station. I didn't orchestrate any of it. It just happened. Turns out, reality has a way of catching up with people who build their lives on lies. But honestly, I don't even care. I'm too busy focusing on my own life to gloat. Looking back, I should have seen it coming when she spent more on ethically sourced catnip than I spent on rent. Or when she told me her spirit animal was a Kardashian. Or when she unironically said, "My truth is different than your truth." The red flags were there, waving like goddamn Soviet banners at a May Day parade. I just chose to ignore them. Lesson learned. Trust the ick. I mean, think about it. Women say they want a nice guy, but they chase after chats. They claim to value loyalty, but they're always scanning for better options. They preach equality, but they expect you to pay for everything. It's a goddamn paradox, a carefully constructed trap designed to ensnare unsuspecting simps. And I, my friends, was a card-carrying member of that club. Until now. So, what did I do? Did I try to get revenge? Did I try to expose her lies to the world? Nah. I just walked away. I focused on myself. On my kids. On building a life that didn't depend on anyone else's validation. It's called self-respect, gentlemen. Try it sometime. It's far more satisfying than any petty revenge. And that, my friends, is how I learned to stop worrying and love the MGTOW life. It wasn't easy, and there were definitely some dark days. But ultimately, I came out stronger, wiser, and with a newfound appreciation for the simple things in life. A clean house, a full fridge, and the sweet, sweet sound of silence. No drama, no bullshit, just peace. Josh and we're actually pretty close now. He comes over every Sunday for poker night with the guys, and he even asks for my advice on, well, let's just say he's navigating the dating world with his eyes wide open. It feels good, man, to know that something good came out of all that shit. Financial stability? Check. Peace of mind? Check. Respect for my son? Priceless. And that's the real victory, isn't it? Not the financial recovery, not the peace and quiet, but the fact that my son respects me. He sees that I didn't abandon him, that I fought for him, and that I ultimately chose to stand up for myself, even when it was the hardest thing to do. He gets it now. He finally gets it. And that's worth more than all the ethically sourced catnip in the world.